recording at the meantime at 9:30 or 5:30 London time. We had a confusion with someone in Europe. I'm sorry about that. I wasn't aware I made a mistake maybe on the time zones. It's very confusing. Okay. And I'm going to record. Oops, record. Okay, recording start right now. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody from all over the world. Thank you for joining me again on Zoom with this Chinese landscape class. Coincidentally, there's an article on Wall Street Journal. Let me show you this website that we have. This is our website on Chinese brush painting and calligraphy. And I just opened a new class called the same, okay. But this is a regular class. And I have lesson 1 or section 1 in this class. And I have made that article as my first introduction. What is the traditional Chinese landscape painting? And if you have already read that article, I'm not going to repeat, but just let you know, you can go to Wall Street Journal, this link. It has all the resources, and it discussed the originality, the origin of, let's just go there. I already signed up, so it's $1 for 2 months for this pandemic. Everybody's doing their due, it's very good price. So it says, when we are under the stay-home order, it will not prevent us to travel with our minds, right? That's how the Chinese landscape started at the time of hellfire or social turmoil or change of dynasties. So people escape from reality into nature and the literature to pursue their art. And so this is the art form that was a positive response to a bad time in Chinese history, especially during the end of Song Dynasty, with the conquer of the northern Normans, or the Mongolian Empire, the Genghis Khan, and the Mongol, and also during the turn of dynasties from Ming to the Manchu Qing dynasty, many artists escaped to the mountains. 八大山人, 八大山人 means the wild mountain man, become a hermit and a monk, an artist. So they are treated as heroes, to keep their morality, not to collaborate, to it's a very positive attitude actually in art. So that's why art flourished when the first Chinese landscape. It was a result of naturalism, or ontological pursuits in the time of disunion. I was a specialist of archaeology in Chinese medieval history. That's my field, actually. Okay, someone says the focus of image. Let me see what the focus. I'm not talking about this landscape. Actually, you can download it from the online class. Let me turn it off so you can see my face. I'm sorry about confusion. All right. So now you can, I just show my face. All right. Okay, let's go back to the class discussion so I can show you where you can download it. If you're not a member yet, you can join it while we speak. Let me lift the paywall. So it's not required to pay during this class today. And I'll give you credit for the duration of this Zoom class. You can go ChineseBrushPainting.ning.com and join it. If you're not a Zoom member, unfortunately, I won't let you continue after this class. But I mean, if somebody is watching on YouTube, anyway. So, and after you join, you go to this this page, and you'll get all the handouts there. You go to here, and you can download right here. If you click, you will show this article that as a PDF. Okay, it has all the links to resources. So we talked about this, and let me show you some examples of paintings. Let me see. Hold on, let me do it again. I have to give you a voice.
The fourth gallery is called Landscape of Reclusion.
We're standing in the fourth gallery here, and this is called the Landscape of Reclusion. And here I'm dealing with this idea that's very prevalent in Chinese art, Chinese literature, Chinese intellectual philosophy, this idea that when things are going haywire in society, it is a totally acceptable solution to turn your back on society and to retreat into the mountains, to just communing either with nature or with literature, with poetry. These are two renderings of one particular guy's kind of retirement villa, the place that he went to get away from it all.
Okay. Can you give me a yes or no answer? Did you hear the sound of the video? Okay, or okay, yeah, okay, just the not your head. It's okay, good. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, that's good. Good communication. We're doing good. Let's go back to my reference again. Oops. Okay. um, so you can also take some lectures from the late Professor James Cahill on the Chinese landscape, the origins and landscape painting in Tang Dynasty and the early Song Dynasty, as referred by this author in this article. And in the end of the article, I'm very honored that among the resources, when the article discussed copy in the culture of Chinese painting, it's very important to transmit the tradition. And it's the only way to fully appreciate this art form through first-hand approach. You have to copy it to learn this art and really to appreciate it. Just like you appreciate the music or opera, you appreciate the handwriting of the artist. Like when I see Van Gogh, I can hear his heart beating almost. The same feeling as you see a masterpiece in the Chinese painting. So there's an English translation I already showed you, and then you can also get a copy of the Mustard Seed Garden Manual from the Met. It's free. You can get an ebook from our store just for a few bucks. Okay, you can buy the hard copy, online, and the translation is also available on Amazon. But the same, it's available in Princeton University website. It's a free English translation. This video I want to show you is from episode in documentary on Zhang Daqian, the greatest artist, also known as the greatest forger in Chinese art history. I want to make sure we can hear the sound. I have to exit. Yes, okay, great.
There's a lot of reasons why John did them, I think. And I would really put very central and the one of just having fun, being able to fool people, being just that good at it. And it was an extremely complicated game, which he played better than anybody else.
张大千做假画呢，他就最高的档次，卖个博物馆，外国博物馆，那就卖得很高的价钱，所以也许做一张假画可以吃1年2年的，所以他愿意做假画就是这套的。
There are no objective criteria by which you can say this is real, this isn't, or this is Zhang Daqian, this isn't. We try to recognize his hand in forgeries of Shitao, but we don't agree with each other on where it is.
我不反对做假画，我说只要好，不管真啊假，有时真画没假画好。
If somebody acquires a painting and is very excited and enthusiastic about it, and then somebody else or a lot of people tell that person this isn't a real Shitao, it's a forgery, it's not the same painting. In a sense, in a physical sense, of course it is. But in the experience of that person and everybody else, it's not the same at all. You look at it with different eyes. Whether you should or not is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. You cannot see it the same way anymore. What you have to study is really the experience of the work of art. The object is just something that creates that experience. And the experience differs according to what you've got in your head, what you know about the artist and the date in which it was done and circumstances under which it was done. So when those change, essentially the object changes too. It's not the same object.
In object-orientated aesthetics, something is either right or it's wrong, because you're dealing with the physical work of art. If it's right, it is revered. And thousands of people a day, if it's in a museum, will go and worship in front of it, basically. That's what great art is all about. The moment it is found out to be wrong, the same painting is put in an embarrassed silence into the basement of the museum and never mentioned again, other than by a few investigative journalists. But in the Chinese tradition, where the entire process is the art, you have the concept of relative authenticity, which is so much more sophisticated, because a work of art, if it carries something of the spirit of the original, is still revered, both for carrying the spirit of the original and for the original communication, and for the addition of the artist that made it. And this is where Chang Da-Chen comes into his own. I think Chang Da-Chen is much misunderstood in many cases, because people are discussing whether he's a faker or not. I see him more as a medium able to contact the past, able to recreate Shitao, recreate Duran, any of the great artists whom he understood so well.
If somebody believes in it as a Shitao, then the price goes way up. Then you can't get it as a Zheng Da-Chen. And I think it would be foolish to pay a Shitao price for even a very good Zheng Da-Chen. So it ties in with the market very closely.
The marketplace is what tends to govern when we ask questions. Collectors get frightfully upset, curators in museums get frightfully upset if their things are fake. But that's only one aspect of the art. If we could divorce ourselves from the marketplace and deal with the medium and the message, then the angst goes out of this problem. And we can deal simply with the spiritual quality of the art, in which case many of Chang Da-Chen's paintings are going to turn out to be the masterpieces of the future, whether they've got Shitao's name on them or Duren's or his own.
Okay, so do you have any thoughts and questions on whether it's legal to copy Chinese painting, Chinese masters? Okay, yeah, so we are ready to copy, right? Okay, the next I'm going to talk about some copies of Master Seed Garden Manual of Painting. And let me share some pictures of my own painting. And it's always, when we meet a fellow Kung Fu master, Tai Chi practitioner, the first thing we want to know is who's your teacher, right? Do you want me? Do you want me to tell you my lineage, my artistic lineage? That's what I'm going to tell you. Okay, this is a picture. Can you see it? Sorry. I don't know why it's not showing. Oh, here. You can see me there. I was born in 1959, 1 year after the Great Leap Forward. When they started to destroy cultural relics, tore down the city wall in Beijing and Nanjing, and try to modernize the country, and then followed by 3 years of famine. That was the time of my birth. And when I got to the 7 years old, the Cultural Revolution started. Actually, this picture was taken at a refugee trip. My parents barely escaped from the mob, who smashed everything in our home. Everything with glass is broken. Anyway, but we had a good time in Beijing during the worst days of Cultural Revolution. My father was a principal of a high school. My mother was a college teacher. None of them are artists. So I was not born as an artist. I'm wearing this Red Guards artists as fashion at that time. But I'm very young. I didn't participate. But I witnessed the pain, and my teacher was persecuted and committed suicide, but was rescued by a fisherman in the Yangtze River. And he decided to continue his mission of passing down this great tradition, just to live and to teach, to paint. So I became his student at the age of 13. This one was taken right before I come to this country in 1980s. But I was much younger than this. What I started at age 14 with him to study traditional painting, primarily birds and flowers. And this is my first landscape painting study for my monumental work, which won a great reputation for me as a young artist at the age of 15. This was inscribed by my mother. I couldn't write well at that time, so she wrote this a story of how I climbed the mountain with school kids to see sunrise in 1975 May. And this is my first chop with my last name, Lee. Okay, here is the my most my best early work, 1975, the Yangtze River Bridge. I did 24, this is probably version 24, 23 before this one, to get this one into the show. First at district level, then the provincial level, a city level and provincial level, and was featured in the article about this youth exhibition. As you can see, they're very cultural revolution scenes. Has a lot to do with study the Mao books and liberate Taiwan. It says some peeking over, but wearing the contemporary archives, not the traditional ones. Anyway, so you can if you read this it's Mao's quote on struggle of world struggle against imperialism, maybe something like that. Okay, and this is my early work after football style. I think it's in the 70s. It's not dated. This one is 77, I think, 2 years after the Yangtze River Bridge. From this painting, I learned a great deal about social realism, how to do buildings, how to, when I paint this, I will go there, do sketches, but I will not really find a spot like this. But this is the traditional, viewpoint, the bird's eye view. And I learned these techniques of painting trees and flowers traditionally, So, and this is a painting of my city and city of Nanjing with an ancient building and a more modern. You can see some flags there. It's still in the last year of the Cultural Revolution. Oh, I think it's 1978. Yeah, it's already end of that, but you can still see the flags of that symbol. And this one is done just here in the States, a collaboration of calligraphy with my late beloved mother-in-law, Professor Chen, and me in a video on YouTube. This one was early work in the 80s, the Yangtze River bridge after football shoe style. Actually, my teacher, Huang Chunyang, he's an assistant professor of the football shoe. So I belongs to the football shoe landscape school when I was young, the Nanjing School of Landscape Painting, headed by football shoe. And this is a semi-abstract painting I did in Seattle, in experimental college, University of Washington. I used the non-brush technique, monoprint on glass, fiberglass. And this same style with a monoprint and then painted. And this is the misty landscape football shoe style, New football shoe style. And this is a traditional landscape class I did. You can find lesson 28, I think, in the class. This is after the Qing master, which is Qing master. They copied the ancient. They copied the Yuan dynasty Ni Zan. So I added some of my own style in it. Made it colorful, and oh, you cannot really see it. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you cannot. Let me just finish this quickly. Now we're going to show you some real thing. At the time when I studied this kind of modern landscape, somebody else at my age studied mustard seed garden manual of painting. So I had a chance to meet a girl. He lent me 3 volumes of that. I think her mother is a librarian. So I spent the whole summer copy that. Unfortunately, I don't have the copy with me now. It was done on a transparent tracing paper. So I learned a little bit by copying the tracing the book called Mustard Seed Garden Manual of Painting. I want to show you this special treasure I have kept from the early marriage. My ex, I met in college, and this lady, she's now in New Jersey as a Chinese history professor. Her name is Sonia. I just call her Sonia. So Sonia met me because we have. She found me as a painter, and she said, "Can you teach me?" So I went to her home, and I was really impressed by her copy of Mustard Seed Garden Manual and all the Asian masters, which I never did during the Cultural Revolution. But she spent all the time, when I painted modern landscape, she studied on her own, just copied without a teacher. She's a self-taught hobby, like I think she will consider herself today as a hobby still. We call it scholar amateur painting. So she's a scholar. She don't sell. She don't paint for a living like me, but she loved this. I know she will keep it up as a hobby, and you can see how good it is. This was done on bamboo paper, which I'm going to use today. It's the exact same kind of paper, right? And from her, I learned some secret she got from her parents. Her parents was a descendant of a Qing dynasty officials, high officials from Beijing. So she has a family tradition in art collection. And when I see her painting, she constantly use her lips to adjust the moisture on the brush, with the black ink. Can you imagine that? So I won't kiss her, right? Anyway, so that's how she does this kind of work. It's so under control because she adjusted the moisture on her lips, the ink, I mean. So it's old tradition in Qing Dynasty. I read later in somewhere in the history, art history, licking this ink, grinding ink, the ink stick. It tastes good, she said. It has a little bit mint, maybe some, you can smell it, right? It's good. So it won't hurt you. Even you can try it today, but I don't encourage you. I never did that. Even I should try it today, maybe. But this painting reminded me of that. So I can imagine, you could do it without that special technique. And, when you can do that as a young girl, like a teenage girl, you can feel that how she is into this. And she can do it, in front of her boyfriend at that time. So obviously, I at this level, she is beyond my skills in this traditional landscape. So, but I have a landscape teacher who is very good at this, at mastered Siege Garden manual of painting in town. So we went to study under Han Shaoying, my landscape painter. And today I still kept some copies of the Master Seed Garden manual. You can see how fragile it is, how thin is it. It's thinner than the Shigata wing paper. But this is an unsized paper. I don't know what paper it is. It's maybe one of the copy paper, kind of like tracing paper. Actually, is for rubbing, maybe for dedicated rubbing, like ink rubbing. I mean, seal rubbing. I bet you can find this in the book, the same page in the tree book, the banana tree. This kind of style types, the vocabulary of painting trees. I used this one in lesson 16. So if you have time, just review that lesson or take that lesson. You'll see this is original. Okay, I made into handout for my tree lesson like this. This is not very good, but that's how it scans. But this is the original. I'm sorry. Also, I have a few from the same artist, Han Shaoying. He is among the 4 gentlemen of the Republic in Nanjing. The 4 old gentlemen, old masters. Zhang Zhenying, my flower and bird teacher, is one, and he is also among the 4 most famous masters. Nanjing is the former capital of the Republic before the revolution, the communist revolution. So he's one of the 4 masters. Also, this teacher, Han, H-A-N, Shao, S-H-A-O, Ying, Y-I-N-G. So this is how the book is copied and passed down during the Cultural Revolution. A period somehow, many Chinese think is going on today in the Western world. All the old statues are destroyed, the books are burned, something like that. Anyway, it's not a good analogy. Let me go through the utensils and materials next. Any questions? Let me unmute yourself because I think I missed some pictures. Maybe. Okay, you can unmute yourself. Just give me any feedback. Are you ready to paint?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I try to.
We didn't see all the pictures. Sometimes we only see
I will
half
upload.
of them.
I'll upload it to the website later.
Great.
Thank you, Henry.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry that screen didn't work. That's, yeah, because I was concentrated on my own screen, not to the camera.
Henry, what year did you come to the States?
I came to the States in 1986
Okay.
with my ex to study history, and because she got a fellowship, I came as first as a spouse, and then I also enrolled 2 years later to get my own scholarship into the same university at University of Washington.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, let me mute yourself. I mean, let me.
Mute. Okay.
Let me see. My lecture notes is all on the website, so I have to go there. Let me see. What's this? Okay. There we go. The next, I'm going to talk about materials for landscape painting. First thing is brushes. There are all kinds of brush. You can use whatever you have today, and you can order more from our website. But for landscape painting, it's not very demanding. But there are some standards. You prefer, first of all, a stiff brush. Stiff brush are made of either wolf or badger. Wolf means weasel in Chinese, or rat whisker. So basically, the brown ones, all the brown ones. So they come in various size, and you can choose the small one, medium one. We don't need much large. The one I will use is the best brush is this, the Wang Xizhi, the General Wang's calligraphy brush that Victoria recommends and used in her lesson on calligraphy. And after a few months of practice, you will see the brush gets bold, get less pointed. And that's the best brush for landscape. Don't use the new one, but you can, but the older the better in that. And can you see my table? Let me see. I want to make sure you see. And this is basic. Okay, this is the whisker landscape brush among the basic 5. Rat whisker, we take the rat off because people always ask, do you kill rats? No, we don't. It's just a name of the ancient name for stiff brush. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry, I think I didn't stop sharing screen. So let me go through this quickly again. So we use stiff brush most of the time. The basic visual hair brush, among the basic 5, is good. This guy is maybe too big for our purpose. So this one is yeah, the red whisker landscape, different edition. The happy dot is good. The leaf wing brush is good for small. That's among the 3 basics. Just two of them among 3 basics. And you can also use this one, B10 of this with piston brush. Don't use the piston part because we don't need the water. We prefer dry brush in landscape. Just use this regular brush. It's artificial hair. If you are vegan, you know, you don't like animal hair, get this one. I think this may still have a few animal hair in this B10. And also, okay, this one is it's a landscape brush we sold out. Oh, this one is a bamboo and orchid brush. All the bamboo and orchid brush is good. Happy dot, so something like that. So these are all good. For the beginning, I will choose bamboo and orchid, maybe this few today. Yeah. And then for the soft, you can use the basic soft brush. This one. Oh, this one is good. A combination brush. If you only use one brush, this one will do everything for you. The combination, stiff and soft combination with hard core, stiff core. That's good. All right. Keep this one. Happy dot. Maybe there's a rabbit combination is also very good. I love it. That's for washing. And also you can do the wrinkle technique, surface textures. So maybe basic 3 and plus the landscape with the whisker landscape. It's for stiff. And then combination and basic soft brush or sheep or goat hair brush. Okay, and then on the next category, I have to go back to my notes. Wish I can remember. So next it would be brush rest. Here we go. So you put the brush on this rack, little rest. We call it the rest. You can use rack to hand brush after using. You know, that's different. But this is on the table. Brush rest. See? Okay. You can see it. You see it all, right? Okay, let me see. Better? All right. Okay, that's I have a short memory. Let me just copy it and then paste it to the chat room. There we go. So I don't have to go back to the site again. Oops. Okay, do you see the list on chat room? All right. let's go through this list continually. So we need to paper. The best paper, as I mentioned earlier, is this bamboo paper for practice, and also good for work. You can also use sized paper.啊，没有 post 吗 ？Chat 不是Zoom chat，Zoom chat，not a website chat. Okay, I can do that if you want, but it's different chat. I'm doing it all in Zoom, but I don't think the chat on website works. It will break all the lines. It won't work. Okay, just click on chat in the Zoom. Yeah, all right. Maybe I can open the closed caption so you won't miss it. Let me do this. Let me see. And do you see CC? So I can type in here. Let me try, but I need to use this keyboard. Okay, let's see. It won't let me paste. That's stupid. Okay. It won't let me cut and paste. Okay. Sorry. You have to use chat room to follow my list of the supplies list. Okay. Okay. Good question, Susan Hammond. This is you do it. You just also, you can tell a good brush from bad. Just test it. Let me start what we call getting used to the nature of brush and the paper. This is a section. Okay. This is a size the paper. Let me see. Make sure you can see me. Okay, this is a size the paper. Size paper means non-absorbent. Okay, and this is probably also size without a mica. Yeah, this is size. Does not smear, right? And if you turn it over, you see it does not penetrate through. This is a size. You can use a drop of water without the ink, but I cannot show you with water because it won't be visible. You can just use water to see if it spreads, if it smear or not. So use sized or semi-sized. Semi-sized. I'm sorry that I didn't prepare for that for today. So next time I'll show you that. Semi-sized is 80% size. So it will take ink and smear a little bit, not to the extent of unsized. We definitely don't use unsized for this lesson because I don't want to give you any trouble with that. Okay, we use, but if you want, that's the only option, then you have to live with that. Let me show you. Okay, this is a semi-sized paper, but it smears quite a bit because we have different version of this. This one's already improved, but you can see this is the early version of sometimes semi-sized is not stable. It could be very smearing, almost like N-sized. So this is a mulberry paper #1, but the mulberry #1 we currently carry is much less like that. So if you drop some ink there, it will expand. See, that's N-sized. This is N-sized mulberry. But now we have something semi-sized. This is mulberry #2. #2B is very thin, but you can see that even it's very thin, it's translucent. It does not. This is good. This is a good paper for landscape. So if you don't see the ink smear, it's sized or semi-sized. When I say semi-sized, you can see it penetrates through. It penetrates through, but not expand or bleed that much. But eventually, it will make the fuzzy, the rough edge, not like the sized one. The sized paper is very smooth. It's for fine line style. So this edge does not become fuzzy at all. It stays like a hard edge. This is soft. This is softer. This is semi-sized. Semi-sized, N-sized. I would call this N-sized. This is N-sized. And this is extremely difficult to hand dry brush. This one is, see, much drier. Same brush, same load. And this one, sized. This one is also sized, different. This is medium, sized medium. This is sized small, a little different, but they're basically the same. Without mica. Mica is the shining surface. We can have mica if you don't mind, but better without, because classically they don't use mica on landscape, only flower and birds, I think. It's not any rule could be broken, but the landscape you saw, the green landscape I showed earlier, it was on Shigada wing, which is with mica. It's a shining surface, but this one is without. So this sized without sized Xuan without mica is recommended for landscape. Also, the mulberry paper, but the current edition is good. Not as smear. This one, like this. This is good. The mulberry paper #2, #3, and then #1 also good for paper. So in conclusion, use sized or N-sized. We also have semi-sized rice paper, which is good. We have like 80% size. All right, and then still the best is the bamboo paper. I like the tone of this. Okay. Any questions on paper? Do you find your paper for today? From the starter kit, you can use the semi-sized and the mulberry paper. There's an N-sized Xuan you can also use, but with a little bit challenge. You need to get the paper dry, and also you can use this. Instead of putting your brush between your lips to make it how to say, less smearing, you can use peach sap instead of saliva. Oops, that's too much. That's too much. I just put some peach sap. Let me just put it so you can see what's it. I'll just put it on the side. Got too much. You can dilute it with a bottle. And just like add like a 10% maybe. That's recommended. But I use it just on the palette. You need a little spoon or here, this water dropper. See this how it works. I just put a little drop of water and I use my finger, grind it, just melt it a little bit. That give me a little thickness. I won't say it's glue. It's it's a binding, a little additional binding when you dilute the ink, because we will start using very light diluted ink, and then some ink left over from last night is become very pastelish, like with a lot of particles. If you don't use this glue, you cannot use it, the overnight ink. But if you use it with a peach sap glue, you see how I adjust the brush? You need a dish like this, very flat, without much, it could be lower. They used to have this utensil, I think still called a brush, it's called brush liquor. Instead of putting it in the mouth, you do it on the surface of the saucer kind of shape, very shallow one. And you twist the brush while you pull it in one direction, like you can roll upward, pull the same time, and then you go back and then roll the other direction. And when I do it fast, you cannot really see. I can do it back and forth in one single movement, but traditionally they also do it like this: up, pull, up, pull, and then low, go down. See my finger movement, twist, crosswise, anti-crosswise, crosswise, anti-crosswise. So this will keep the brush straight. And then you dry it. Finally, I use a piece of fabric called the canvas to adjust it. You can use some used paper, like I think after some practice, you have lots of paper. Like I just put it on a paper towel beam. I made this video. Actually, you can see that. And you can use this to test. This is very important to test. This is, by the way, the unsized shrine. And you can see I can still paint the landscape, but with this ancient ancient technique with peach sap glue, you can control the smearing a little bit. However, when you do this, it tends to make the paper sized. So when you add color, you might have some different reaction from unsized paper. It's not fresh as fresh as the unsized paper, because it gives the paper a little bit how to say, water resist after this. It's not like a size, but it does block some absorbency with this glue. So you can just use a little bit, not too much. Same effect as you lick the brush, right? Okay, so I keep this as my testing piece here. Let's Go to the next item. What is the powder called again? Peach sap glue powder. Peach sap glue powder. Peach sap is the jelly stuff from the peach tree trunk. Naturally, you don't kill the tree. You just collect the little crystal kind of jello kind of thing. Okay, question about the side. Always paint the smooth side. If you don't know why the paper is smooth, it's front, look at the paper making video documentary made on YouTube. Because the paper, it was dried against the metal wall, which is slick, and it creates a smooth side. That's the shiny side. It's always the front. It won't make any difference for practice, but you know, the front side is the smooth side. But always, you know, I could make mistakes. It won't make that much difference. Okay, let me see. Other questions? Let me copy the next item here. Okay, talking about colors, ink and colors. All right. Oh, paper weight. Paper weight. Okay. Well, let's see. I have small ones. I have giant ones. It's not very, but they come in various size. You can see I'm very disorganized. Sorry. Okay, basically, you don't stretch the paper until you paint. After you painting or writing, you mount it. So you can hold the paper with a paperweight. It could be different shape, like that. We sell that also with little bar, not like this. This is for larger painting. Paperweight. Ink bottle. The ink is recommended. You can use any brand. And ink stick or ink stone is traditional and it's edible. If you want to lick your brush, ink stone here with a lid is preferred. So it's from the Tuesday class. It's still wet. I can still use it. So that's the function of this. You can get it for $18.50 at our website. And also we have this called the convenient ink cake with the starter kit. All you need to do is to brush off the ink like that. So I use this because for students, you tend to use too much ink from the bottle. You make the water instantly dark. Speaking of that, you need 2 containers for beginners. You better keep one for brush washing and one small one maybe for loading. Clean water, you can just to get the very light color of the ink or shade of the tone of the ink. You need a clean water, absolutely clean, not dirty water, okay? So you need 2 containers. And then for blending, you use a little white dish without color. This is plastic. It should be ceramic. It's easier to clean. And you can use watercolor palette. I use watercolor also. You can use here. This is the regular watercolor palette you can use, but I don't use ink on it. Just be careful. You can use Marie's watercolor. This is for Chinese painting. You have to buy Chinese painting colors. not the watercolor. They also sell regular watercolor. Because regular watercolor is bound with gum arabic, not gelatin. So it will smear when you wet mount it. If you don't wet mount it, you can use regular. If you dry mount your painting, you can use Holbein. This is what I have been using in my yesterday's class. I also use it on rice papers, and I use the silicone to mount them. We sell individual tubes. I put the tubes in the plastic because they tend to dry even before we sell it. Because the nature of the binding, it's not lasting very long. But even if it's dried, you can open the tube and then put it in a here is my my dried colors. I kept in this, just putting some water. You can still use it. All the Maurice colors. And we also sell the very nice stacking tray. That's actually for those traditional, excuse me, color chips. The solid colors. These are very good. And if you have you should get the 3 primaries. The amber, which is a soil-based color. Oops. So here, amber from the red soil, or earth red. What do you call that? Brown. That's red in landscape painting, and then indigo chips, very good indigo to get your trees and the vegetation. And also you can mix with yellow chunk. It's a gamboge. That's 3 basics. So my teacher only used these plus all the other colors, like rouge, mineral colors. Basically, there are 2 groups of 2 kinds of color: opaque green, opaque blue, cinnabar, and vermilion, versus plus the white gouache, indigo and rouge, gamboge, amber. These are, and cello. These are transparent colors. But we don't use much color in traditional landscape, not to the extent to overshadow the ink. Okay. Another thing I strongly recommend is the charcoal. This one is called wine charcoal, but I got it wrong. I didn't read it. It's hard. That's not good. This is for drawing. You need to get soft wine or willow charcoal. When you draw landscape, you need to sketch it first to lay out the composition with charcoal. Okay, but not hard, because hard will damage the paper. And I use duster to clean the charcoal. Soft charcoal could be cleaned away with this easily. You can use a piece of tissue or silk, dust off the charcoal. Don't use eraser on rice paper. Okay. And what else? Palette dish colors. Felt. Felt is a little thicker. So for some reason, I like thin padding. So I find this backside of magic paper works for me. You can use the white one for your own, practice. It should be not absorbent. Felt. We sell that felt. The wall is the best for calligraphy class from the calligraphy class also. Same kind of material. And then a duster for, okay. Testing blotting paper, I mentioned that. Testing paper also used as blotting to take out extra moisture. And the table setup, this is a bad example here. You don't want to copy. All right, let me show you. You should put all utensils on your convenient hand side. Like if you right-handed, put all the stuff on one side besides the paper and the paper pad and paperweight. So you should divide your paper into two areas. So you don't get stains on your paper easily. The water should be on this side, okay? So you don't get stains, you don't get happy accidents. That's all for supplies. Any questions? Let me turn on your, let me see. If you have comments, questions.
Yeah, what you said the watercolor that you use is Hobei. Is that what you use for all the airplane paintings with Robert and all the Zoom classes?
Yes. He does not use Hobei. He uses Winsor Newton or somebody use Daniel. It doesn't matter. Whatever you have will be fine. I will give you my palette in the class later. Okay. I will give you my watercolor palette in my landscape class later.
Henry?
Yes.
If we use liquid ink, which liquid ink do you recommend?
I use today is the either good. You can use the Red Star, which these are the two best.
I have the white lidded one. Is
Yeah,
that?
Yeah, that's the Red Star. Or you can use the Japanese one. It's not dark enough. If you have ink stone and ink stick, you can grind in addition to that. Actually, you can grind all your bottled ink with ink stick.
I need an ink stick. Which do you recommend?
The tone oil, not the pine soot, the tone oil, T-O-N-G, tone oil soot.
Okay.
Okay, Susan Heyman has a question on how to tell difference between papers. You don't have to. I still have trouble to tell. You just test it. You cannot tell by looking. Or you can, when your experience grows, you can tell, mulberry paper from regular rice paper, or straw paper, or bamboo paper. Something like that. It doesn't, it doesn't make, this question is invalid. You just test with the water or ink. You don't have to make, mark it or something. And then after you identify the usage for your purpose, you just mark it whatever you like. For landscape, for flower, birds. Basically, for landscape, you prefer rough paper instead of smooth paper. But as exception is the Shikata wing paper. I do like that for landscape. It's very smooth, but very soft, very good for landscape. Yes, good answer, Gary. Thank you for answering same slide as I did. Okay, so I think it's very helpful that Gary and the more expensive student helped me to answer this kind of question. I really appreciate it. This is an opportunity to learn from each other. Also, let me start to do the lesson. Oh, we almost out of time. So let me cover the first few pages of the book of Mustard. Okay, let me bring that handout out. But you know, today is very important to get all the answer questions answered with the brush and papers, because this is very common, and you know, we try to solve this today. That would be my goal. Already. Okay, mute.
Henry,
Yes.
there's a little bit of an echo.
Okay, I mute everybody. All right. Next, we're going to go through some basic strokes on painting rocks. Let me see. It's on my website. I need to print these out. Okay. Have you have chance to read the instructions? To be frankly with you, the classical Chinese, let me see why it's not here. Okay, so the classical Chinese is very difficult to read because there's no punctuation, you know, and some words never used today. You know, some names of the things in this paragraph is very hard. First time I know what it's about. Actually, let me go through this. So this paragraph is very important. Actually, it tells you what is rock in Chinese artist's mind. They have a life of its own. So if you paint the rock in Western concept, please draw with me. Triangle, square or rectangular? Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Triangle, rectangular, and then let's do a pen. Let me just do this stop sign. I don't know what's the name. You can also draw maybe pentagon. Like that. So you notice that when I draw lines, I use tip brush, tip-centered brush. And this is most used on buildings, you know, like this. So this kind of stroke is called tip-centered bone stroke, you might say. And it has a beginning and an end with the tip in the middle during the entire stroke. And when we do rock, we hold the brush at the slant position. I mark the stroke order. Okay, this is very important. You load the brush without water in the heel. Okay, dry the brush, and then load it in a uniform tone. You don't need variation. Okay, just use light like this one, because I tried to show you on the screen. Otherwise, you probably cannot see. So we should always start very light as a dropped, and then you can darken it easily. You can after it dries, of course, and you can darken the left side or right side to create some contrast, maybe some yin yang, some shadow. You can enhance it, but in the beginning, just use gray ink or light ink, very light ink. Doesn't matter how light, but to the extent you can change it. If it's something wrong, you can adjust it. Even you can make the roof a little. Start from light. It's same idea as you do in watercolor, right? That's for ink. But for the brush, this is called the tip concealer. This is the side brush. See my position of holding the brush is this, and then this pull and bend. We call this folding in calligraphy maybe. Instead of turn, you can do a turn like that, but we prefer to have this kind of squarish. This is we call it a square stroke. That's round stroke, square bird. That's in rock we always bend or fold. I'm sorry. I think the folding stroke. Fold to fold like this. Instead of turn like that. Okay. This we call the 中锋. This is called the 侧锋. Side brush. Okay. So if you compare my drawing here with the image on the screen on the lower left, you see the difference, right? So what's the difference? According to our ancient artist, is lack of qi. Some spell is this. Qi. Qi means vitality or breath. Just like a people, the stone is a living being in the Chinese painting. And we have this theory called the three faces. They use the term face. It's like the face of an animal, or a ghost, or a child, or a warrior. So it has a face. So let's do the triangle again with some qi, right? So first of all, I don't want to make it symmetrical. So, and you can have some pressing, lifting, something like that. And something like this, and you can add a stroke. Notice the yin yang start to happen. So the side with this folding, this side is yin. Avoid this. There are two mistakes here. This is too round and the too even, no yin yang, right? Even you do that, and this will give you yin yang. Yeah, that you can always change it. So the correct way doing this is to create. You can have some, there's three faces, three dimensions. The top is right there, probably. Right there. Okay, there's a term for this. We call it go and le. There may be different interpretations by different teacher. I have read some books talking about this. This is go. Go means check mark. So it goes from left to right. And le is the opposite. And if you do this, it's not go le, right? So it's our pulling. You can say pull and push. Okay, so let me do this in different way. Different teacher may teach you different. So this is we call shun, push, pulling, shun, pulling, pull. And here you see push. And push gives you more texture, coarse effect. Okay, and this is the go pulling, and then you can repeat some. This is a okay. The name not really matter. The thing is, this is a Tai Chi symbol. It should go against each other, not always the same. It try to vary the directions. Try to vary the directions. So this side goes this way, and this side goes this way. This is the Tai Chi symbol. Let me do it again. If I don't want to ask you to do this. This is an important cultural concept in Yang. Speaking of the graphic means or method to describe the world around us, we have three graphics, three graphic means. One is can you read this? Some of you have learned this from Victoria's class, right? Mountain, or this, water, right? So I will give you give me 10 minutes more. Maybe let me finish this part. Very important, I think. San Shui means this is a language, Chinese writing system. The pictographs that describe the concept, not the form. The form is used to deliver the concept. Sometimes very complicated concept. That's the graphic symbol. And then we use painting like this, like we just learned. I tried to make a symbolist, the mountain painting. So in pictorial painting. So we call this land script, right, Susan? So what common between language, writing language and the painting, we said is the common origin of the writing and the painting in Chinese art, because they share the same kind of graphic convention, this notion of a same vocabulary. So you have to write something, we call this writing also. Same norm. You have to learn the vocabulary from this book to get that. And then the highest level of graphic means 3G graphics, is this Tai Chi or Yin Yang or Ba Gua, for mountain. I think it's something like that. So this stands for mountain. I think it's one of the 64 divine, how to say it, in the book of changes. So what this is using this two symbols to simplify this Tai Chi in everything. It just means, like a book of the title suggests, it describes all the variations and change the complementary forces in the world. This is very important, yin yang principle. So how you vary your strokes, your ink, according to the yin yang principle. So landscape is a manifestation of the principle of yin yang, or the Tao, in Chinese culture in the time of Neo-Confucianism. As a response to Buddhism and Taoism, they developed this approach to natural, the majestic mountain. They try to prove the Tao. Okay. Let me see. I'm out of time to do just quickly, maybe give me 2 minutes and finish. So you can combine the rocks to make a group. So there are larger ones and the smaller ones. In Chinese mind, they are like a family, children protected by the father or mother. And not necessarily all the rocks are family, could be brothers. So one big, one small, something like that. Okay, this grouping, there are basically two methods. You can see it here is a large mountain, large rock surrounded by smaller ones, right? This usually is under the foot of a larger mountain. And near the water, you will see more small rocks like that, and a large boulder, maybe. And notice that if the rock is on the ground, you can paint the bottom flat, but never paint the water like that. This is a taboo. Just like that. And then you would do water with different ink, maybe very light ink, but not using the dry brush stroke to do a hard bottom like we just do. This is on land only, not under the rock like an island. Okay, So just leave that open, leave the bottom open like that. So this is near the mountain and near the water, different rocks. You can read all the introductions on these 3 pages, and we can keep discussion in the class later. And I want to suggest you to try this at home and start with a very light ink, and then you can add another layer with a darker ink, and the darker, maybe 3 or 4 layers to get to the richness, of the texture. So usually it takes 4 or 5 layers to do that. And this is, we call it the spread hemp. It's a fancy name, hard to translate. Many books translated as parallel wrinkles. And then after this dry, you can highlight it with a dark. So the dark usually add it as the second layer around the shady area, the yin part, not on both sides, on one side, not on 2 sides. Okay. So I make this side shady, this side yang, and in Western sense, maybe the light comes from there, but that's not usually necessary. You can, the light is just yin yang, sense of yin yang, not has to do with direction of light. And, but more and more contemporary painting may be influenced by Western artists. They have a source of light. So any questions? Let me open discussion.
I have a question, Henry.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have the Mustard Seed Garden manual of painting that was edited by my.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
Yeah, this is what we're looking at right now, on my left corner. Yeah.
Okay, and from the example you showed of the woman in New Jersey who painted by herself, does she have an old version? Yeah, that painting. Did she have an old version of the Mustard Seed Garden? Because I don't see
Okay.
anything in here that looks like that.
Okay, like I said, she has a resource to other old, we call the choral band. I don't know how to say old publications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
older publications have those better illustrations.
Yes. I will give you more examples. Or you can get from the Palace Moon manual. That's why I recommended the other series on the contemporary painting manual edited by the experts in the Palace Museum. So you will see real paintings, not the woodblock printing. So we're not going to to copy the samples in the Mustard Seed Garden manual painting, because they are just skeleton of the masterpieces.
Right.
So yeah, I will use the photograph from original masters if we decide to copy something like that.
Yeah.
Or we can copy this one if you want. I will scan it to put it on the class for you to see. Okay. I don't know the author of this the original master of this. I guess it's from the Yuan or Ming dynasty. Looks like a Fanto. This little rock, this little rock has a name for it. It's called the Allen head. On the first page I showed you, Allen head and water chestnut top. Water chestnut on the top. I just identified it right now. This is water chestnut. See the water chestnut shape. I eventually I figured out what is. name. Because I didn't understand what's water chestnut. This would look like that, water chestnut. And alum, Susan, I think you use alum blocks, right? You can describe, it's a kind of like crystal rock. Yeah, this is the alum head. So you can see the rocks usually upon the top of the spine, we call the dragon wing. Do you see the dragon wing in this painting clearly? It's like a spine of like an S-shaped movement, right? And then also this mountain foot that we mentioned. You can see there's no, that's a water line, but if it's the water line, it's fine. You don't put a hard edge bottom on those rocks. You know, this may be a little bit vague. Even these lines, I won't put a hard edge there. I would just leave it open, maybe. It depends on, you know, any rules could be broken. Okay. Yeah.
Henry,
Yes.
what brush were you using?
Today?
Yes, what brush did you do the rocks?
I used the rabbit combination brush. Rabbit hair combination brush.
Oh, the rat whisker?
Yeah, right. Okay. I can test different brushes for you. And just let's just see. Okay, this is the one. And okay, I can use this one is the basic wolf hair. It's a little soft, maybe. So basically, you can pull or push. You know, to push when you need a coarse texture, you just push. When you need a smooth, you just pull, push up. I see some artists, they just use one direction to paint the entire thing. That would be, you know, they just do this. All goes up. You can combine. Let me turn off. So you can unmute yourself, just to, you know, when you want to talk. Okay, so this is because all the brush goes up. It's not not good. We usually with this earth, we call this earth hills, 土山, not the stone mountains. So you usually you pull and then use almost like a tip concealed brush. This is good. So almost like this with a little coarse, maybe not too much. This is more abstract, actually become the orthodox school, and the X cut like that become, this is X cut. Usually you kick, you flick on one side of the line, not on both sides, not on both sides, just on one side to create this kind of texture. So this is the basic brush for that from the set of 3, and this is a landscape brush, whisker landscape brush. Focus. Yeah. Okay, I can change the camera next time to see if it's better, but let me see. Focus. Let me change lighting, maybe. Let me turn off the light. Maybe this is better because the glare, maybe. If this is better, let me try. So also I can use darker ink just to show you. So when you draw, you don't do 2 steps at one time. You should draw the whole shape of the rock with some, variations of thickness or pressure. And then you divide it into some different dimensions. Okay, and then start doing the shaping or texture. This is what we call twin means wrinkle technique, wrinkle stroke. It's different from scramble. Scramble is a cha. Cha means like this. This is a cha. Scramble, which does not come with the stroke. Let me turn off everybody. So this is the third step after outline and shaping, and you add this this scramble or scratching, what do you call this, to give even more. But usually are in the darkest area, not in the light area. Usually not. I see more on this shading to make this part really hollow, or how do you say, deep, like a dip, like a not the protruding part. Look at this. That's make it just look like 3D, The start with very light. You can see this rock probably just took two steps, 2 or 3 maybe. There are some scratchings there, scrambles there. It's called a dry wash, and almost except on this painting, except the sky and the water, there's no water, no wet wash, no wet into wet. On the rock, basically it's a dry wash. Dry wash is this, scramble. So there are 4 steps: outline, contour line, and wrinkle line or shaping line. They are linear, and then the scrambled or like shading, you might call it shading, and then the wash. The scramble is also called a dry wash. So wet wash. That wet wash, you have to wait it dry. If not dry, you can use a relatively dry brush. Maybe we call this Shitao style. Shitao is a relatively contemporary, modern. He's ahead of his time. So he used wash right away. Let me show you the example of Shitao. From my teacher, this is the okay. These samples are done by my teacher Han Shaoying in the class we took together with Sonia. I wrote this note after the class. He does the outline and then the wrinkle before he does very fast. Before it gets dry, just wash the brush and add water. Add more water to the brush to get this this style. This we call the Tony Daishui. I don't know how to translate. It's a slobby, maybe slobby style. And his tree, bare trees. You can see that. Okay, here's the one. Yeah, that's his first lesson. See the stone and the shaping. But this style is relatively late than Song Dynasty. It's probably Ming Qing dynasty, early Qing dynasty, because they use unsized shrine, unsized shrine. This more spontaneous ink effect. Okay, and let me show a complete painting by my teacher, because I don't want to use this in every lesson since I got it here, just show you. Okay, this one is not signed even. These are our class demos, it's a winter landscape. We particularly requested him to show us how to do this horn, like a deer horn trees. So he developed into this complete painting later. And you can see, we'll cover this later, the branches of the bear tree and the building in bone stroke. Right? And you can see this river bank in the way we just described. He used a bamboo and orchid brush, very old one. And it has wonderful texture. So don't throw away any old brush. They're very good for this purpose. Okay, this is a waterfall. Beautiful stuff. And this one is one of the early lessons talking about. I covered this one in the lesson 16. I think lesson 16. You can see the willow tree I did in that class. Just visit lesson 16. If you're not a member, you can sign up right after this class is open, and I will give you credit for the 3 months of this class, okay? And this is the same paper I used today. This bamboo paper with a tan color. And this one is the mulberry. Yes, it's the mulberry paper I used earlier. The kind of like this mulberry number 2. Yes, it's almost like that, but this one has more stringing fiber. So you can get mulberry number 2 or number 1. Actually, it's all this. Okay, and yeah, this is the oops, the shrine paper. This is an unsized shrine, and bamboo paper and mulberry paper. So if you got the starter kit, you can use the semi-sized paper. I'll probably use that next time to show you. We don't have semi-sized paper at the time when I studied. Now they have more kinds of paper. Okay, you can see there are some points I just see the corners are too rounded. So you need to make some fold, some squarish along the contour. So not too round or too wet, not too. That means too smooth, too shiny, not a rock like, and try to avoid the concave, right? This is okay, but if you have a rock look like this is definitely not preferred. This is in concave to make it extreme. This is like a C star. So try to avoid concave and too round. me just clean this. And make pauses at a turning point. You can go some steps. Instead of making a curved line, you can make it into steps. And then forward, and forward. And turn back, maybe something like that. And the beginning is also, like a hidden tip, not a sharp tip. That's good. And then this button can also have steps. And then you add more wrinkles. Sometimes wrinkle and scramble or dry wash is applied together. Depends on how you feel. So if you have a good stroke, it has the vitality or qi. That's what we call breath of the rock. Okay.
Can you explain the three dimensions of the rock or the stone? Which three?
Okay. Question is about, next question is the 3 dimensions or 3 phases. We don't call it 3 dimensions, maybe we just call 3 phases. By 3 phases, I think in Chinese it's not too literal. When we say 3 or 9, it just means multiple. So it could be less or more than 3, just the multiple phases of rock. So if you draw in the Western concept, so this is the front side, the top side, and the what do you call this, shady side. We call that yin yang. This yin yang side, two sides, and so in the painting, we do something like that. That's 2 sides, and then you can add that. That's 3 sides. This a little bit on top, and you can make the top side pop by adding shading, from the other rock around it, like that. So to squeeze out this top. I think don't take it too literal like this, because otherwise it will be too mechanical. In my landscape lesson, I mean, in the watercolor lessons, we always do 3 dimensions like that. So I have learned from the Western painting. So this is if the light comes on top, this is what they do. And I would tell the.
So what is called 十分三面 in general? Yin Yang and what?
I think the top side, 2 sides, or yin yang 2 sides plus I think it equals to 3 dimension, 3D. Just 3D means 3 dimension means 3D. So rock is a 3D, and the tree has 4 directions. That's a common concept. Just it's a general concept, not specific. concept about the rock and the tree. 十分三面. Literally, rock is divided into 3 dimensions. My teacher has a secret. I'll give you all my secret today. Thanks for the question. I didn't. Okay, let me see. I think this one is probably the illustration of that. So he didn't say that. Okay, he's when he talked about it, we got this character, chill or heel. In the I mentioned the mountain, right? That has 3 rectangulars. That's mountain, and he relies on this character. Means a heel. And if you look at this picture again, you'll see a lot of such structure in it. In the traditional painting, you always see this kind of division. I call it a division because you can divide a piece of rock into 3. In Japanese, there's no mention of this in any Chinese literature about this. However, I found in a Japanese online source on Nanka or Southern School of Painting, they mentioned something called the shi. Shi means a stone. Zun means nose, or something to like when you measure something, you have a point, starting point of a measurement. Like stone nose, it translated as stone nose, I think. This is a Y-shaped thing. It's a Y-shape. Always, it maybe call this Y theory, because all the rock has this 3 faces. We call it faces because it's not dimensions. We call it faces. Maybe it's easier to understand. So, so 1, 2, 3, right? And then you can add more. So it could be any combination of 3. But this is where you got the darks, hit it with darks. That's your nose, just like the face. If this is the face of a rock, this is the nose of it. I will call it a division point, maybe. On some of the fantou or the alum head, you'll see something like that. So this is maybe one of the stone has this, but you don't want to put every you don't want to put it on every stone. So this is a, and here maybe a different variation of that. You can put. So basically, it suggests that you can divide a shape into not equally, not equal, but this may be a little too equal, so we can make it a little different. Divide it into 3. or you can build up upon it, upon this principle. You can, when we talk about dragging veins, it always, you will identify this from now on, this is why everywhere. You can even start with this. That's what I found on the website, the Japanese website. I'll give you the link if I can. They might be gone. It's about 20 years ago when I discovered it. It never updated, I think. It's an old site. You can see this is a cluster of a dragging vein, and let me just make it disappear, so you won't see it again. But in the artist's mind, at least in the mind of my teacher, this is the underlying structure of Chinese landscape, the 3 dimensions of rock. To conclude this lesson, I think I give you this secret. I reveal this secret to the world today, and I hope it helps with your study of it. And now you can look at your Master Seed Garden manual or the Palace Museum manual for this hidden character in it. Like I mentioned, the Chinese language and illustration of picture, or at the higher realm level, conceptual level, illustrates the idea of yin yang. So yin yang is the idea behind everything. And the book of changes. Okay. Yeah, the light in Chinese painting is yang or light, It's but versus the negative space, it's all yang. The mountain is yang. So it's all variable. Just solid and void is yin yang. Dry and wet is yin yang. Yeah, light and dark. But we don't use the lighting in Chinese painting. So this is just for it's a mind light. Maybe yin yang is like here I can make this part. A common mistake is I see a lot of Western artists, professional artists, does this. They put the wash right on the top, not the shady part. You can see this yin part should be always against the yang. And actually, it helps when I do the yin. When I do yin here, I try to work to pop this one. So I don't put anything here, right? This is yang. So this is in this actually not this. This is also in within the yang, but this is in. This is in. Understand? So your shading is right here, not here. Not here. A lot of people just shade on top of that. It destroyed the yin yang. And look at this painting. You see that yin yang. So some outline here is missing, is lost, but found in the neighboring yin, contrast. You see, there's no line there. I can see maybe a little light, very light one. It disappeared. In the beginning, it's very light. At this, you can probably, I think, because it keeps changing the focal point. You see that it's very light. So the ink has different tonalities. You start from the very light to the very dark. I'm doing this because you cannot see if I use all the light ink. But this is like the Mustard Seed Garden Manual book. It's it's black and white version. On real painting, you need to make it more natural, more organic. Anybody? It's over time, and I appreciate your patience. I really enjoyed this class, and I will continue to respond to your questions in the classroom. And please sign up for the complimentary period. And if you like, you can continue later. I would. I'll let you go now today. If you have any final comments.
Henry,
Yes.
would you be able to post that painting that was on the unsized Schwen? I loved that painting. I just want to look at it again.
Which painting?
It was a painting of the rocks, but it was on the unsized Schwen. It was kind of blurry.
Oh, this is already in lesson 16.
Yeah, I love that. Oh,
okay, let me show you where you find it. Okay.
I can find it. I can find it. Yeah.
Lesson 16 handouts.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, let's make this assignment. Okay. Yeah, that's my lesson 1, by the way. Yeah. That my class with the master. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes. The shading, you said that the chi and the shading, is it always on the right side, or does it matter like where you make?
You have to be consistent. If it's if it's on the right side, you can also reverse it like that. Does it make difference? This is the Okay.
Is the unsized paper rough?
This is unsized paper, right? Okay.
Unsized.
Yeah, this is unsized. I think I have a similar paper here that I tested earlier. Let me show you how smear it is. And you can you just paint faster, because I know it will take more ink, so I use a soft brush. I just use my basic soft brush on this one. Just, to give you a demo. Get some water here. It should be lighter. So see, this is too much ink. That's the problem. Oh, I use a little each set. I want to little thicker. So for this example, he will start from maybe from here, because the chill. Do you see that hidden character here? And this is how he started. And he will stop and talk about that character, Chu. So this is the Chu, the heel, right? And then another Chu beyond that would be you can just build another one, I think, and then stacking them. And he has some pulse and turns along the way. So this is good to have. So more squarish. Here it's squares. So try to make a uneven stops here. Yeah, this is two. So you can see two Chu right here. You see it, right? And then you can do another maybe. I don't really want to copy exactly. So, and then you add the dimension, add the shading on the left side. Let's do this other side to see what happens if we want. We just try to Usually it goes like that, and try to keep it parallel, parallel, parallel like that. This is dry brushing. And you could go up also like that. See, I press to the shady part. So I have a gradation, so to speak. A gradation. See, it's not even. You know, I think that's what Sonia does. Hers, I remember. He press and stop at the dark part a little bit more. She'll do that. And before it gets dry, you start to dot. This I didn't talk, but this is called mask dots. This is another element, very important. It takes a lot of practice to get the mask dots right, because you know, I can add mask dots to all the form illustrations. It will hide my characters, my underlying structure. So I don't do it today, but you can see that helps to modify the painting and create more rhythm, right? More rhythm and depth. You can cover mistakes. You can enhance the area. Someone is not muted. And then you can use clean water, almost water, just a little bit maybe, just give it a unified atmospheric wash. This is a contemporary Shitao style. He is good, just like Zhang Daqian. He can fake Shitao easily. He does so much study. I know he told us the story how he practiced on kind of water riding surface for many years, you know, on his strokes, like the bamboo strokes. That kind of, it takes a lot of practice. Now you can see I don't really wet everything. I still keep my yarn unpainted to this. This is here it got some like a water surface, horizontal. This represents the water in the under the mountain. Right? Maybe a refraction. It could be a refraction. This is unsized mulberry paper. We don't have this paper anymore because people complain about the smearing. So we asked the manufacturer to change it. So this was the paper from 10 years ago. If you bought then, you should have this still in your stock. Okay, any questions? Yeah, mustache is a very large topic to talk about, and we will talk about that in future class, including the horizontal one, the plumb one, the mouse footprints, the pepper dots, and all kinds of dots. It has to do with the trees also. It could be foliages, vegetation, moss. Okay. Okay, so many people have left, so I better stop, otherwise they might complain. I'll repeat some of this in the future class if you have missed, and if you have time to play this, it will be great. I will put the recording in the discussion forum. Okay, bye-bye everybody. Take care and see you next week, or see you in the online class. I'll post these pictures after it dries and take pictures of them. Okay. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. I'm going to end the class now. Let me end the recording.